Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the backstory. If you're new here, kindly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you can be notified whenever we post a new video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there was a ruling that was made like 2 days ago on the finance bill 2022-2023. And I've been trying to listen to experts' opinion on the same, on matters to do with the impacts of that ruling. I've listened to podcasts, I've listened to interviews on TV stations, but one that has caught my eye is an argument by Busia Senator Omtata, who has said that President William Ruto needs to go. And his arguments are that President William Ruto has failed to govern this country. He's basing his argument on the fact that the finance bill of 2022-2023 has now been declared null and void by the court of law. Then the finance bill of 2023-2024 was also rejected by Kenyans. So the question is, which laws or how will President William Ruto's government collect taxes or revenue that he will use to govern this country? So I want you to listen to the video. Then we'll come back and analyze. But you can also give us your feedback by commenting on the video down below. Let's listen.
Inability to govern. One of the grounds. And Ruto is unable to govern. Resetting him to 2022, whose budget was that?
It was his and Uhuru's.
Yeah, that was Uhuru's budget. Uhuru was the president. He alikuwa spare wheel. Uhuru was the president. Now, his budget is now supposed to be spending. We are supposed to be in the. He should be executing his third budget. The one inherited from Uhuru is implemented in the 2021.
Yeah.
Because Uhuru virtually from June 30th, 2023 was basically a lame duck. We're just holding for somebody. So he's the one who implemented that budget. The second one was the one that was 2023, the Finance Act that has been rejected by the courts. And the third one is the one that was rejected by the public. So if he cannot pass a budget, he's unable to govern. Because the only policy document you have in a government is a budget. So if your budgets are rejected twice, you lose legitimacy to govern. He cannot govern. And that's one of the grounds in the Constitution for removal of a president. So when you say Ruto must go, it's not an idle call. It's a call that this country needs somebody who can govern it. You've heard what our sister has said, that going back to 2022 is going to get a lot of complications. You see, why should a republic end up in complications? So the consequences of this decision are dire. And now, the call to reset the republic has been given anchorage in law by the courts determining that the budget of 2023 was null and void. And they have used the word ab initio.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, those are very, very interesting arguments by the Busia Senator. And I know that the Kenya Kwanza administration, right now, they are kind of wishing that, they wish they knew they should have not ignored some of the issues that were raised by Kenyans during the public participation. Remember when the Kenya Kwanza administration came into power, and then when they were coming up with the 2022-2023 Finance Act then, which became a bill, there was public participation which was done. The public participation Kenyans raised so many questions about, one, the introduction of housing levy and the increment of tax on petroleum products from 8% to 16%. And there were other issues that were raised by Kenyans which were ignored. Even though they were captured during the public participation, but when they went to parliament, Kenya Kwanza administration came up with dubious or tricky ways of of neglecting some of the proposals or issues that were raised by Kenyans. And they pushed this down our throats. And I can remember Omtata then telling President William Ruto that he was going to court and he was going to win. So I want us to play back that video.
Na nimeangalia finance bill, na finance bill inafuruga katiba kwa vipengele kama 6. Na mimi nakuomba waheshimu katiba, wazitoe, kwa sababu asipozitoa tunaenda kukabiliana kotini. There is nothing to complain about, but there's everything to fight for. But let us avoid that fight. Let people not fool you here. Let people not deceive you. There are issues in that katiba where even the Supreme Court has pronounced itself that need to be honored. We have things in that katiba kama hii housing levy. Ilikuwa kwa ile nyingine na mimi ndio nilienda kotini kaichapa mpaka ikarudi kwa voluntary. Sasa mnataka tena nirudi kotini? Wana rais, tafadhali turahisishe, tunataka kuunga mkono. Mimi na kuunga mkono, nataka utawale kila nchi ya Kenya, because if you succeed, and I always pray for you when I wake up in the morning, among the intercessions I make, I pray for you as the president of Kenya to succeed. Because if you succeed, Kenya is better off for everybody. But Your Excellency, if you fail, we all fail. So I pray for you, I pray for the Pope, and I pray for religious leaders in my intercessions. So please, I plead with you. I've already prepared a petition to go to court. But when I heard you are coming to Busia, I did not file it last week. I held on. I pray that we look at this bill. If we can avoid having to go and fight in court, we avoid. But if people are coming here to say that everything is okay and what have you, then next week we shall be fighting in court, and it's bad for friends to fight. Thank you, Your Excellency, and God bless you.
Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, you can remember that. But the question that Kenyans ask is, what is the impact of this ruling? And is it justified that whatever Omtata is talking about should happen? I know so many Kenyans are like, okay, this guy should go. Look at the impact of some of this ruling. For instance, for you to govern a country, you need revenue, you need money that you can use for the current expenditure that is running the day-to-day activities of the government, like paying for health, paying for salaries, transport, fuel, and all that. Then there is money that is used for development. Most of the time, we borrow some of this money. So for the recurrent expenditure, whatever was being spent in 2022 is quite different from what is supposed to be spent in 2024. Because there have been a lot of changes here and there, matters to do with interest rates. So many things have changed. So if we are to revert to the finance bill of 2022, there will be a very huge effect. So look at it this way. If you are to revert to VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%, then that means that there is a huge gap here that the Kenya Kwanza administration will have to fill. So even though Kenyans will have a lesser burden because the cost of products will come down, but the net effect to the Kenya Kwanza administration is that they will borrow more. They will have to go back to borrowing. But do we even have the space to borrow more? I don't think so. Right now, our capping was at 11 trillion, and we're already at that 11 trillion. So how are we going to maneuver? That is the question. And I think that is what Omtata is basing his argument on. That now that the Kenya Kwanza administration might not be able to raise money internally through taxes to sustain their day-to-day running of this activities, then it means that the best thing that they can do is to resign. And it's not even talked about President William Ruto only. He's talked about the whole of, he's talked about Parliament resigning and President William Ruto also going home. Because his argument is that budget making is a process. It's initiated by the executive, but Parliament also has an input in it. So if Parliament did not do its work, then it means that Parliament as well needs to go home. Yeah, even though right now I think the Kenya Kwanza administration, that is President Ruto's administration, has gone to court of law, to the Supreme Court. But Omtata and his handlers are also talking of going to the Supreme Court so that there are other issues that they think needs to be looked into. Then there is the second issue, which is there was the issue of petroleum products. Then there's other areas that the Kenya Kwanza administration wanted to raise revenue, like the income tax rate, whereby there was increment from 32.2% to 35% for guys earning 500,000 shillings to around 800,000 shillings. That has also been removed by the courts. So it means all these will affect revenue that is needed by the Kenya Kwanza administration to do what? To raise money so as to govern Kenya. So it's a very, very complex situation for the Kenya Kwanza administration. I don't know how they're going to handle it, but Omtatah's argument holds some water. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? You can give us your feedback on the video, on the comment section down below, and we'll keep monitoring what's going on in the country about the same. Until next time, bye-bye.